All right, now let us look at SD47.21. This is the last sutta in this volume. Cheta Kassapagotta Sutta, S9.3. Yeah? The discourse on the Kassapagotta and the Trappa, also called the Cheta Sutta, the discourse on the Trappa. So here the theme is, even when no one heeds the Dharma, we should keep to our own practice. So don't give up just because others do not practice Buddhism, or Buddhism is not in vogue. You know? You find today in some parts of the world, some people, they're really interested in the Dharma, but they don't have teachers. It's very hard to get Buddhist books even. And so the internet helps them to get the suttas. So this is a kind of sutta that encourages us to keep on practicing, to be like the Buddha sitting alone under the Bodhi tree. Okay? Right, the translation is on page 191. The discourse on Kassapagotta. At one time, the Venerable Kassapagotta was dwelling in a certain forest grove. So very often you find these monks be staying in the forest, meditating, living by themselves happily. Now, at that time, the Venerable Kassapagotta, who had gone for his day rest, admonished a certain Trappa. You have two events going on here. Okay, so there's this monk, and it is midday after his noon meal, so he's going for his day rest, or siesta, if you like, because probably, in India, midday will be very warm, so the monk wouldn't be walking out in the hot sun, he'd be sitting under a tree. I realized that when I go for talks, especially running what I call day courses, you start like 10 a.m. and you finish at 4 or 5 p.m. After lunch, it is really difficult to talk. You have people coming to you asking all kind of questions. So teachers normally, wise teachers normally will say, after lunch, no questions. And one safe way is, I found, you just tell the crowd you're going to meditate. You can sit down and kind of recharge yourself. And I thought at first that, if you were to do that, you fall asleep. On the contrary, it's actually it helps you to feel very peaceful, very restful. Of course, if you do fall asleep, it's fine, and then you have a good rest. Then you come out of that meditation, 15 minutes, half an hour, and you can go on with the sutta class, right? So this is the day rest of this monk. He was taking his day rest, and then he sees this Trappa, and he admonished the Trappa. Okay. Now, what actually happens here is there is another party, a Devata. This probably is a forest deity, a tree deity, or a dryad. Then a Devata, haunting that forest grove, desiring to inspire a sense of urgency in the Venerable Kassapagotta, approached him. Now, apparently, this deity is not too happy with Kassapagotta. He's supposed to be meditating, although he's trying to admonish his Trappa. No? So, having gone up to the Venerable Kassapagotta, he addressed him in verse thus. He says, "The hunter roaming in the rugged hills, with little wisdom, mindless or dull, a monk who admonishes him untimely strikes me as dull indeed, but understands not, too. Who looks but sees not. When the Dhamma is being spoken, the fool understand not its meaning. Even if you were to hold up 10 lamps to him, Kassapa, he would see no forms at all, for he is one without any eye." Then the Venerable Kassapa, moved by the Devata, felt a sense of urgency. Now there's something missing here, you might say, right? So you got to look to the commentary. What happened here, right? So here, from the story, you have Kassapagotta trying to advise this trapper. Obviously, this trapper neither understands what the monk is teaching, nor follows him. But this deity is watching, and this deity probably he is concerned. See? So he's telling Kassapagotta that he's really wasting his time because this trapper goes on killing. He doesn't really listen to the teaching anyway. So he says, even if you hold up 10 lamps, you still won't see, right? Of course, only the Devata would say this, because the monk wouldn't be so discouraged. So now the sutta stops here very abruptly, right? So this is where the teacher is important. It's up to the teacher to interpret, to kind of tell us what goes on from here. Okay. Of course, the Buddha wouldn't encourage any monk from teaching. The Buddha himself, there are a number of suttas where the Buddha gave teachings, and the audience didn't respond. A famous sutta is the Udumbarika Sutta. It's a long sutta in the Digha Nikaya. Even at the end of the sutta, after the Buddha gave a very long discourse, this person, this wanderer, still wouldn't even take the three refuges, not to talk about, they have a chance to become monks, So the Buddha says that Mara has kind of blinded them. And what is 7 days, the Buddha says? If you can become a monk within 7 days, if you meditate, you will get some level of attainment, even stream winning. So here, of course, for us today, this is even more true. When we teach Buddhism, when we teach the Dhamma, it's not always people understand. That's one problem. Another one is they may understand wrongly. Or sometimes they think they know better, because nowadays, these few years, compared to when, say, 50 years ago, when I was a young monk, today there is a flood of information. There's a lot of Buddhist information. We know a lot about Buddhism. So sometimes people may argue with the teacher, that they may think that they are right. Of course, we all have the right to do that, but we have to be very sure of what we are saying. And it is quite all right to disagree with teachers if you find you're not ready to accept those teachings. Many teachers today do not study the suttas, for example. If you do not carefully study the suttas and quote them, then of course the chances are you might be teaching the wrong thing also. So there are people out there who know the teaching very well. So this is where you question the teacher, and then you go back, search the suttas, and link up the loose ends and find out the teachings, right? So sometimes we may feel as if we alone understand this, and we feel kind of left out of the world, so to speak. That, in a sense, is the cause of truth. Sometimes you know the truth, but others do not know. So what do? Do you step down, join the world? That would be rather silly. Your presence is very precious to this kind of world. You have the Pacceka Buddhas, who are like that. They are awakened, they know the truth, but they live in a world where people just won't listen to the Dhamma. So they're still there. In a sense, they do give teachings, but they do not give a systematic teaching where there would be a dispensation like that of Gautama Buddha. In other words, after the Buddha has passed away, the teaching will continue. But our Buddha has done that, so that the suttas can come down to us today. Can you imagine? Maybe you should not, but then as a kind of a trial, there is no Buddhism today. We do not know the early teachings at all. There are no Nikayas. The 5 Nikayas are all gone. And all you have are the other religions. It's going to be quite a difficult world. I mean, already you see today most of the violence in the world, the killing, are done in the name of religion. Sometimes even you get Buddhism getting involved in religious violence. So the presence of Buddha Dharma, here I restrict it only to early Buddhism, is important because it brings us back down to earth. It's telling us goodness is possible. It's possible for us to have a calm mind, to be happy. We got to make that extra effort ourselves. In other words, we have to make that journey ourselves. That is why there is the path. And then in time, because of your effort, because you do not give up, you meet others who also see the path as you have done so, or maybe see even further than you. Okay? So that is the message of the Cheta Kassapagotta Sutta. So that ends this volume.